Torch cargo bay, Dave and the probe team, 7 months after pulse. Dave finally got the damn thing to work. After a week of having people in and out and hours of fiddling around and hours of debugging, the probe was able to transmit human digital information directly to the Quirtians, instead of having to use the Quirtian OS for everything. Halfway through the process, he realized that his PC was probably going to have to be permanently attached to the probe, in order to prevent anyone from messing it up and upsetting the computer gremlins. On a more positive note, they had managed to get clearance from Command and an internet-connected warp communications array pointed at the torch to allow the Quirtians access to the internet. Over the past few months, human internet culture had a small meltdown as broadband, near-instantaneous communication was established between the outer and inner solar system, and 2 separate meme cultures were introduced to each other without a multi-hour delay. A long impossible dream, zero-latency multiplayer had finally been achieved, albeit still only at the small scale due to the inherent cost of warp communications. Right, we've gotten clearance to allow you to use the internet, so basically, you're going to be remotely inputting commands directly to my computer's human interface device to maintain a hard information barrier between your computers and our network. You guys manufactured the emulator, right? Les nodded vigorously. Yep, I've been studying English ever since we established communications to read your blueprints and language. And I had this custom built by our most advanced communications developers. I watched a video explaining how to operate the Porthole OS, and I feel ready to attempt this. On the table in front of him sat a QWERTY keyboard, mouse, and a 4K monitor. Great job. Remember, the internet is both our greatest achievement and worst nightmare. You're being exposed to the best and worst of humanity, so I'm going to limit access to prevent you from doing anything potentially dangerous. Okay. Alright, I have it all set up and ready to go. Linking with you now. Done. Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. Les' screen lit up, and he was faced with the home screen of Dave's computer. The rest of the team eagerly leaned in as he started his journey. He gulped. I can do this. Remembering the instructions, he put his mouse on the bottom of the screen, watched as the pictograms popped up, and then pointed the navigation arrow on the screen towards the internet browser. Unseen, another presence in the room was also intently watching the screen. Hesitating, Les looked to his team for guidance. So, what should we actually do? Met spoke up excitedly. How about we go to the tube like last time? I want to see more videos of current human events. Good idea, Met. Navigating to humanity's greatest time sink, they were inundated by row upon row of videos, stretching endlessly downwards. Slightly overwhelmed, Les scrolled down a bit and picked one at random. Author's note. Not actually important to the story, just kind of interesting ideas, I guess. Narrator's note. Hi! Hey guys! Today we're doing a quick review of the 5 heavy primary weapons of Duty Infinitely Calls Battlefield Elite VR Edition. You all know my name? First off, a list of the weapons. We have the Onager recoilless rifle, the Auto 25 Gyrojet heavy machine gun, the Gauss rifle, the Lightbringer 70mm flare gun, and last but not least, the good old China Lake 40mm pump-action grenade launcher. Stats shown on screen. Onager recoilless rifle. 1500 damage, high explosive anti-tank, 600 splash, 1500mm RHA, 2 times HSM, single shot, 200 meters per second, 4-second reload. Auto 25 Gyrojet heavy machine gun, 250 damage, armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot, 70mm RHA, 1.5 times HSM, 60-round magazine, 300 RPM. 50 meters per second to 1200 meters per second over 30 meters. 7-second reload short, 8 long. Gauss rifle. 200 to 990 damage. Plasma slash armor piercing fin stabilized discarding sabot. 3-second charge. 60 to 500 millimeter RHA. 5 times HSM. 5-round magazine. 30 RPM bolt action. 450 meters per second no charge. 1700 meters per second charged. 5-second reload short, 7 long. Lightbringer 70mm flare gun, 500 damage direct, thermite. 250 damage per second for 10 seconds, thermite. 10mm RHA, 100mm RHA if it lands on top of vehicle. Illuminates 100 meter radius for 20 seconds. 2 times HSM, single shot, 25 meters per second, 2-second reload. China Lake, 600 direct damage, high explosive dual purpose. 400 splash, 1500mm RHA, 3 times HSM, 3-round magazine, 60 RPM pump action, 50 meters per second, 2 to 5 second reload. Basically, the recoilless rifle and Gauss rifle are the best at anti-tank work. The gyrojet, heavy machine gun, and grenade launcher both deal great damage to lighter vehicles and can still cripple tanks if you shoot weak points or the top armor. The flare gun is kinda niche, but has some great potential if you want some fancy trick shots, and it can actually do heavy damage to tanks if you land it on the engine deck. Starting with the Onager, it works best as a dedicated anti-armor weapon. It can bring a tank's shields down in one shot. Once the shields are down, it can penetrate them for critical damage from anywhere except the front. It usually takes 3 to 4 shots to kill a main battle tank from the sides or rear. However, the very low muzzle velocity and high drop makes hitting them from far away very hard. It one-shots all light vehicles and infantry in the game, making it one of the most powerful weapons in raw damage. Unfortunately, it is lacking in crowd control and has a small ammo count at 10 rounds. Next, the gyrojet heavy machine gun. Where to even start with this weapon? It's very good at whittling shields down, but it struggles to do heavy damage to tanks unless you're above them or directly behind them. Surprisingly, it can deal heavy damage to shields over time even without having a directed energy-based damage type due to raw DPM. It has a special attribute where if you hit an enemy below 30 meters, it does additional explosive damage to infantry. But if you hit tanks below 30 meters, it does less damage due to not having as much kinetic energy. Also, the velocity ramp up is hard to get used to and makes it hard to hit aircraft. I'd say that this weapon has a very high skill floor and ceiling and is rewarding to use if you can aim it well. The Gauss rifle is fairly unique. It can one-shot to the head no matter how charged it is, but if you want to deal significant damage to tanks, you're going to need to charge it up for at least 2 seconds. It's a pretty generic weapon, to be honest. It's not great at depleting shields due to the lack of raw DPM, but due to its damage type, it semi-bypasses them. It also absolutely shreds all lighter vehicles if you're able to hit weak points. Can be used for sniping, but it doesn't have access to high zoom optics. The flare gun is also unique. It can one-shot to the head and leave small but high damage AoE burning area. It completely negates night vision optics if they're looking anywhere near it, and it also lights up a huge area around it. Also, it bypasses vehicle shields entirely due to its super low velocity and can deal heavy damage to tanks if you manage to land it on the engine deck. However, its velocity is incredibly anemic. I tried to use it for a bit, and it's more of a tool than a weapon against infantry, but it can be very trolly against vehicles. As a side note, it one-shot kills any aircraft if you manage to hit the engines, which can lead to some insane trick shots. Finally, the China Leg. This weapon is like 300 years old or something, but it's still got that cool factor of being a pump-action grenade launcher. It does quite a bit of damage to all targets and can one-shot most infantry to the torso or head. If you get behind or on top of a tank and slam fire rounds into the rear, it actually does more DPM than the recoilless rifle, but it's got a much shorter range. It does decent splash damage against infantry, although the radius is pretty small. I have to admit, my favorite weapon is the Onager recoilless rifle. That raw damage is just incredible, and I love lobbing shots to try and hit targets extremely far away. It's fairly easy to use, and ammo packs are common on the battlefield. The flare gun is my second favorite just due to the unique nature of the weapon, although it's not really that good in most situations. Lest paused the video and looked a bit confused. So, this is for a video game? People make instructional videos on how to play games? Yeah, it's pretty popular. People like playing video games and watching other people play video games. If you want, I can put a filter in to block that stuff. Met interjected before anyone else could speak. Could you? We're not averse to video games as a concept, but it seems most of the stuff on this tube relates to those. I'd like to see some stuff on history or engineering. Sure, 1 second. Try now. After the filter had taken out all that stuff, he got back to browsing. Hey, how is there a video describing the operation of warp communication? Didn't we just share that with you, like, less than a year ago? Dave looked at him through the camera. Yeah. That video was created about a week after we figured out how to make our own warp comms. Information travels quickly on the internet. Try looking up your own species name. Worriedly, he did. Wow, there's a lot of videos on us. Scrolling down a bit, he counted videos. Over 100 hours of video just talking about us? I didn't even know that we were known by that many people. Dave smiled. Oh yeah, all of our communications are recorded and made public in the archives. Full transparency and all of that. Each person on your team probably has millions of fans. It helps that you guys look so cute to us. Carr spoke up. Yes, I remember you saying that a while ago. Why is that? Well, I mean, you guys look kind of like... Well, just so you know, humans find a lot of things cute, so don't take this the wrong way. You guys have a somewhat similar appearance to some Earth animals. Your fur looks extremely fine, and most notably, you look like a mix between a fox and a ferret. Just look those up. Lust had to agree. Their overall shape somewhat resembled that of a ferret, and facial features which resembled that of a fox. The fur was a completely different color, however. Whereas the Earth animals had brown or red fur, Quirtian fur was a metallic boron microlattice, which grays attenuated X-rays from their two stars. Yeah, you guys look like stainless steel rats. You probably didn't get that. Anyway, there's more than just video sharing on the internet. Exploring a bit, Lest moved his cursor to a few dots on the upper right of the window. Oh, there seems to be a history option? Is this about your planet's history? Dave sweated nervously and moved the mouse away. Oh, wait a moment. Actually, there's an easier way to learn about our planet's history. Just look up history lessons in the search bar. Hours passed. It was a mixed bag. The further back in history they went, the worse it seemed to be. They seemed to be trying to kill themselves. 3 world wars, hundreds of years of assorted wars, ghastly weapons designed for war, and chemicals, aerosols, and flammable agents designed for war. Before the torch was created to use up the nuclear stockpiles, they had well over 10,000 megaton-class nukes wasting away in storage. Global warming had threatened their entire way of life. They were mollified when it turned out that they didn't only use nukes for propulsion, and had actually detonated hundreds of them on their planet, and had used 2 of them in an actual war. Even before that, they were throwing rotting animals at each other and using primitive biological warfare. Understandably, the entire probe team was a bit disturbed about some of the stuff in the humans' history. However, they seemed to be past the warfare stage. Recent history annealed their horror. Disaster relief efforts where millions of humans worked together to save lives after hurricanes and other massive storms caused by global warming showed them how humanity could band together in order to save themselves. Mega projects on the Earth to reverse global warming, landing bases on the Moon and other planets. A strong, unified League of Nations which was actually taken seriously for once, after they realized how close they had come to the brink of destruction. Endless energy coming from an entire moon which had almost unlimited fusion fuel. While they weren't post-scarcity, they were doing very well for themselves, and people were no longer starving. Almost an entire side of their moon was converted to direct sunlight around the solar system. They left that day feeling satisfied that whatever demons the humans had in the past had been dealt with, although it was still somewhat unsettling that they ever existed in the first place. Extra-secret cultist meeting on Quirtian homeworld, 50 meters to the west of the distributed intelligence agent monitoring them, 7 months, 1 day after Pulse. Our attempt to destroy the probe has failed. Alien life does exist, and they are intelligent. I want to gather as much information from them as possible. I have been in contact with one of the scientists in a bar, and they told me how the humans have a sort of hive mind which can be accessed through electronic interfaces. He also told me of how the humans were ready to give him access to their hive mind. I intend to secretly hijack this connection and gather information using their own hive mind against them. The audience of 5 Quirtians and his mother gave him applause. I'm going to sneak into their facility tonight. Wish me luck. Good luck. Agent 1, 50 meters east of the extra-secret cultist meeting area. Agent 1 was attempting to prevent himself from laughing while listening in on a group of cultists. This is Agent 1. Agents 2 and 3 don't intercept him. Just be in the area to prevent anything from going on. They might sound inept, but they did manage to tamper with our space program, so don't underestimate them. I'd like to see some of the humans' internet without Dave's guidance while still having plausible deniability. Understood. Agents 2 and 3 were sitting, hidden in the probe's control room when the cultist walked in. The doors were conveniently left unlocked for him to enter. They watched as he used the computer. Remember, don't disturb him unless he tries to do something malicious. We're here to gather information as well. A few minutes passed as the Quirtian in question clicked around, then started screaming. Nevertheless, everyone in the room was extremely disturbed about some of the stuff in a specific human's history.